Hi everybody, doing a quick video here to go through some basics of working with Unity. I'm here in Unity Hub right now, and I'm going to create a new project right up here. I've got all templates selected here, and I'm going to choose the Universal Core, but since to match versions here, I'm going to go ahead and switch to 2023, and that's going to show a 3D built-in render pipeline. I'm going to give my project a name, Ball Drop Demo 2025. I'm going to give it a location. I'm just going to put it in my documents folder for now. And I'm going to not connect it to Unity Cloud because that might speed things up a little bit. It's going to go ahead and create that project, and then it's going to automatically open Unity for me. I don't need to open Unity directly. If it gets lost in the background, it may get hard to see what's going on, and if you click it again, it's going to say this project is already open, even though I can't see it. So I want to hit that Unity button again. Maybe I can move that out of the way in order to see it. If you've gone into full screen, this can be really confusing because that really hides everything else. I don't recommend, there's really no need to ever use Unity Hub in full screen mode on a Mac. So now we've got Unity opening up, and we see here, once it's really going, I'm in a view that isn't really the one that I want. So I'm going to go to Window and Layouts and Default, and this is probably what you see. Over here on the left is our hierarchy with everything that is in this scene that I'm working on right now. That's different from being in the project mode, where everything that is available to the project is all those different assets. This is the scene view where we're actually doing our work. This tab puts us in the game view, which shows us what the camera sees. We can play or pause the game here. And over here on the right is the inspector. That gives us all the details of whatever thing we have selected. So sometimes I see that this has an error going on. Sometimes this happens the first time we load up this version of Unity. So I'm going to go ahead and quit it and restart it. And it seems like we're back in action and there are no errors showing up, so we are happy. All right, to add an element to the scene, we can click this plus sign up here in the hierarchy. I'm going to do a 3D object and a cube. That appears right there in the middle. And up here we've got our transform. That is, what's its position, its rotation, and its scale. Notice that Y is up in Unity. If you hold the right mouse button and move, if you hold the right mouse button and move around, that orbits your view. If you hold the middle mouse button, that's the scroll wheel, just push it down and move the mouse around and you'll pan your view. You definitely want to do that a lot working in a 3D environment like this. And so I'm going to make that cube 20 on the X and 20 on the Z, and I'm going to go ahead and rename it to ground. Now going back to my project tab here, I want to give this ground some color. So in order to do that in 3D, I can't do that directly from the object. I have to add a material to it. And that means I have to create a material. Down here in Assets, I can click that plus sign, choose Material, and that happens here. I'm going to call this ground material. And if I click this white box, I can choose my color, kind of like that brown that's showing up. I get a good preview of it down here. And then, so I've created it, but nothing has changed. I have to drag it to the object. And you can drag the same material to multiple objects. Let's go ahead and add another element here. We're going to add a 3D object, a sphere. And over here we've got our tools, right? And the shortcut keys are the QWERTY keys on your keyboard. Q, I thought I was renaming things. I hadn't finished that yet. Sphere. Q gives us this grab object, right, that lets us kind of move around. This gives us our official move tool. I recommend moving at most by maybe a plane at once. I'm on the sphere, but usually by a single axis by using those arrows. That gives you good control over what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to move that up a little more. I'm going to leave it at its current scale. I'm going to create a material, and let's give that a nice metallic red by the time we're done here. So I get it kind of in that zone right there. I'm going to drag up the metallic of it, and you can see the results of that. And then the smoothness impacts its reflectivity as well. Drag that to the ball, and we're good. And if I click on the main camera, I can see here a hint of what I can see, and I can drag my camera around if I don't love it. So I'm going to drag it to its left a little bit to pull the ball more in view, pull it up a little bit. There we go. That's a pretty good view. If I press play right now, it's going to go ahead and pull everything together, and there is my scene right now. It doesn't do anything, but it is where I want it to be. I recommend saving often. Command S is the shortcut key on a Mac. Now I want to add physics to the ball, so I'm going to click on the sphere here. Down at the bottom of the inspector, I'm going to say add component, and you're going to see this list right here. You can search for things in here, or you can go, in this case, to physics, and we're looking for a rigid body. Anything with a rigid body component is going to have physics applied to it. This gives it a mass of 1, and all the rest, right? If you say is kinematic, it's not going to have physics applied to it normally. Your program would have to control that. There's some purpose to that, but not for today. We're going to leave that unchecked. So if I press play now, we'll see what the rigid body did to it. Just made it fall to the ground, and that's pretty good. The other thing that I want to do is make it bouncy so it behaves a little more realistically. So to do that, I need a different kind of material in my asset called a physic material, and that we're going to find down towards the bottom here. And I'm going to call this bouncy material. You can either name these things sort of inline here, or with assets you can't really change them over here, but with things in your scene you can change them in the inspector. Right, these amount to, in assets, they amount to file names. So the bouncy material, you can see it has friction and bounciness, and it has these combines, right? So if I give it a bounciness of 1, we'll talk about the combines in a second. Combinations, however you want to say it. I've got nothing because I haven't added it to the ball yet. So I'm going to drag it to the ball, and when I look at it, we're going to see that it shows up in the collider under the material. There we go. And I get a little bit of bounce, but not very much. And 1 is the maximum. If I take that bounciness and I up it to like 10, it looks like it's done it, but when I go away and come back, it resets it to 1. So that is the maximum, but I'm not getting it very bouncy at all. That's because of this combine property. Right now it's average, so the average of 1 for the sphere and 0 for the ground means that the bounce ends up being 0.5, which is not much. My other options are to take the minimum, which in this case would be 0. We can demonstrate that. And the same would be true in this case of multiply, because 1 times 0 is 0. I'm going to go to maximum now so we can see what it does when it gets real bouncy. There we go. And you'll see over time that this will increase its bounce, which is not very realistic, but it's interesting at least. I'm going to stop playing there. And that gets us to the basics of what we want to do. I'm going to go ahead and throw one more object into here that'll just be an obstacle. Let's make it a cylinder in this case. And I'm going to use my rotate tool. Actually, I'm just going to rotate it on, I guess, on the z-axis if I want it to come towards me by 90. I'm just going to use that property right there. I'm going to go to my move tool, and when I do this, I want to make sure we're pretty well in line, right? So I can click the top of that to get straight up and down on it and find that, and then maybe I'm going to orbit back around and make sure that I'm actually below it. But I'm going to bring it up a little bit. You really got to move around a lot and get the right view for what you're trying to accomplish, because we've only got a 2D screen here. So I'm going to press play on that. It hits the cylinder and bounces off. And that's kind of where we're going with this particular demo. Thanks, y'all.